Welcome to the Money Talk for Real podcast. I am Nick. We talk about spending money, making money, and everything in between. And on this episode, I want to talk about why saving money feels impossible right now. At the time I'm recording this, it's late April of 2026, and it can feel that money, that saving money is impossible. It does feel that way. It feels, harder than ever. And you're not necessarily crazy here. It's not just discipline. It's not just willpower. Things have actually changed. Okay. And there are a few reasons behind this. You're not making excuses. I'm not making excuses. Nobody is, right? We're just going to explain reality here. You can still save. Of course, you can always save money, but it is harder than before. So we want to understand and talk about the problem and then adjust the strategy in order to save money. And so there's a couple key reasons here. Number one, everything is more expensive. That's just a fact. Groceries, rent, gas, insurance, food, everything. Costs went up faster than your income did. And your money just doesn't go as far as it used to. It feels like you're doing the same thing, but maybe you're falling behind. Number two is that income hasn't kept up. Raises amongst companies with employers are slower than the costs are increasing, meaning costs are increasing faster than the raises are coming in, being seen and reflected in your income. And if you're at the same income level, many people get stuck. You're stuck at your income level, meaning you're not getting raises. You're right where you've always been, and it's been a while since you've gotten a raise, or at least a significant raise. The point I'm making here is that the gap between the income versus the spending or the expenses is widening, and it makes saving feel unrealistic at times. Some people also are in survival mode spending. And what I mean is that most of their money goes to their needs, not their wants. Now, there's a lot of people that spend money on junk and crap that they don't need, but a lot of people are in the survival mode. They're doing the bare necessities, not what they want. Whether it's the rent, the bills, the food, maybe just those three things are the majority of their paycheck. And you can't budget your way out of not having enough left. And so this leaves nothing for you to save, making it harder to save money right now. The next thing is just mental burnout. A lot of people are stressed, and mental burnout leads to spending. Especially with stress, that leads to convenience spending. You're eating out. You're doing quick little purchases, small dopamine hits. Mental health is a big thing now. It's 2026. And one of the ways that people cope with mental health issues is by spending. It's a comfort thing. Again, it's a small dopamine hit here and there. And I'm not blaming you. It's not your fault. You're tired, so you spend for ease, for comfort. It's not even laziness. It's just your mental fatigue, right? So number five, the fifth thing that I would talk about as to why spending money is more difficult now is that it's easy. Right? I mean, easy spending is everywhere. There's one-click buying. There's tap to pay. There's subscriptions. There's auto renewals. There's auto drafts out of your account to pay for stuff. It's easier to spend right now than it ever has been before. And that's frictionless, right? If there's no friction, then there's going to be more spending. And more spending obviously means saving less of your income. The next thing I would say is probably social pressure or online influence. You see, we're all on social media, even in the basic form of maybe just one platform, let's say Facebook or something. But especially on Instagram, TikTok, with the millennials and younger, you're seeing people travel. You're seeing people buy things. You're seeing people live almost like an upgraded lifestyle, which means that you probably feel like you're behind and maybe even a little jealous. You might not want to admit that, but you're seeing the stuff on social media and feel like, maybe you have FOMO. Maybe you feel like you deserve that or you need to be where they're at. The key here is that social media distorts reality. And, when you see these things happen, it can lead to you unnecessarily spending money. And I do mean unnecessarily. You're not buying stuff that you need. You're buying stuff that you saw on social media that you thought you needed or you thought you wanted, or is maybe just a trend or a fad. Another reason why it can be hard to save money right now is that there's no clear plan. There's a lack of a plan. People know that they should save, but how? They don't know how to save. There's no system. And if there's no system, then money disappears. It goes back to my point earlier. If you're not in control of your money, you don't know where it's going. If you're not looking and tracking and planning, then you have no control over your money. Saving does not happen by accident. It is work. And without structure, it will not stick. The next thing I'll talk about is the what's the point mindset, I'll call it. And it's where, the big money goals feel far away, whether it's a house, whether it's retirement, the big stuff. And saving small amounts of money feels pointless. Of course it does in the grand scheme of the big things, right? And if the goal feels impossible, then saving feels useless. And that makes it hard for you to save because, again, and especially if you combine multiples of these things on this list, it leads to giving up before you even start. You think, okay, well, I'm nowhere close to retirement. I'm nowhere close to having enough money for a house. So I'll just go ahead and buy that $5 coffee, right? So it is harder right now to save money, but it's certainly not impossible. Small adjustments can still move the needle, even in today's times. So what I would focus on is the small wins, even the $5 or the $20 savings, those saved moments of small money, that still counts. It builds the habit. And again, it's only $5 saved, just the same way as you say it's only $5 spent. But if you can save $5 10 times a month, that's $50 a month. And even if you're not saving large amounts, again, you're building the habit, and the habit will build momentum. It's not about the amount at first. It's about the habit. It's about the consistency. And the next thing you could try to do would be to reduce the friction to save money. Maybe you auto transfer money, move it into a separate account where you don't even see it. Pretend like it's gone, which it is, but it's still your money. It's gone into your own account, a separate account. It makes saving easier than spending, or at least close to it. You could also cut the invisible spending first, the stuff that you don't see, the subscriptions, the small habits, not painful cuts, nothing that's going to negatively affect your lifestyle, just things that are easy to cut and easy for you to stick to without having those things. These are low effort things and typically provide an immediate impact because, again, pennies turn into dollars, right? So if you're saving a little bit here and there, it's a pretty fast impact that you're saving money. So the last thing, and I've saved this for the last because, some could argue this is not a possibility, is to increase your income, even a little bit, even slightly. And some people say it's not a possibility because, maybe you don't have the option to get a raise at work. That's fine. You don't have to have it at you don't have to increase your income at your main job, your full-time job. You could do, you could have side money, whether that's selling something on the side. You could, do a part-time evening job. You could work for one of the food delivery services or gig work type thing. You could flip free items and for a few dollars, just small boosts. It's still possible to save money like I've talked about, but saving alone maybe isn't always enough right now. Maybe you do need a little small something just added, even if it's $100 a month, that can certainly help, save. Again, you're not failing in this, okay? I want to make that clear. I'm not guilt tripping anyone. You're not doing a bad job. The environment is legitimately tougher. And just the awareness of saving money and being aware that it is tough right now can change everything. Again, the small, consistent changes will still work. So let me know what's been the hardest for you when it comes to saving. I would like to talk about it. We'll wait and go again in the next episode. So thanks for listening. This is Money Talk for Real.